on to the growth stage competition. Moderating the growth track this afternoon is Deepthi Madhava. Deepthi is an investor in residence at Oregon Venture Fund, where she co-leads outreach and diligence for entrepreneurs looking for investment. As a strategy and operations senior manager at Deloitte, Deepthi led strategic growth initiatives for Deloitte globally in their clients and markets organization and consulted CXOs in Fortune 1000 companies in developing and executing a range of business models and go-to-market strategies. Deepthi is excited to bring her consulting experience into advising entrepreneurs to build scalable businesses. She also serves on the board of Oregon Entrepreneurs Network and as advisor to Young Mountain Tea. Growing up in Mysore, city in the south of India, in an academic family, her everyday conversation revolved around science, curiosity, and research. She earned an MBA from Indian School of Business and a bachelor's degree in computer science engineering. Deepthi calls Oregon her home for the last decade and enjoys daily Orange Theory workouts, traveling, hiking, and cooking with her husband and daughter. Deepthi, welcome. Thank you for joining us. I know you've done your research on these finalists, so should we just get right into it?
Absolutely.
Great, take it away.
Seems like it's an afternoon full of non-traditional VCs. I'm absolutely thrilled to be here. This is my first time at Bend Venture Conference. Probably the shortest and the fastest I've traveled for a work conference, being an ex-consultant. So Oregon Venture Fund and EDCO have had a long-standing partnership, and we've had the tradition of moderating this growth stage pitches for a long time. Thank you, EDCO, to your entire team for giving us this opportunity. For those of you who don't know Oregon Venture Fund, come find us if you already haven't talked to us. I also have my partners, John Maroney and Melissa Freeman here. Would love to hear more from you. I promise we are very human. So Oregon Venture Fund is one of the largest VCs that is regionally focused here in Oregon and Southwest Washington. We believe in the mission of Oregonians investing back in Oregonians. So we tap into our network of recently exited entrepreneurs, our technology leaders, industry leaders, functional area leaders, and tap into their expertise to help us source, select, and support our portfolio companies, and in fact, not just portfolio companies, just the broader founders and the startup ecosystem here. So for the growth stage pitches today, we had companies from all over United States, and in fact, even in Canada. The top 5 that are presenting here today, they made their way through from the top 20. And some of the primary reasons why they have been selected are because of the strength of the founding team, the market opportunity that they're chasing, the traction that they have shown in product development, as well as in the revenues that they have generated. So no matter what happens at the end of the day, who goes back with big check or big checks. I think all the finalists who have presented here today, they definitely deserve a big round of applause, because I think this is a huge accomplishment and lots to take back, hopefully for all of you. So let's give them all a big round of applause. Special thanks to Jim Coonan, who has helped prepare all our finalists here for the day. I think Jim has been a strong supporter of all the founders here right from his early days as a venture catalyst for EDCO. So Jim, thank you so much. Moving on, our first finalist here who will be presenting. We have 5 of them. The first one to come on stage will be I see them there, Bluebird. Bluebird is a connected and automated platform for corporate gifts. So Bluebird helps in swag sellers to reach a wider audience and in a much faster way. We all love swags. I think one of the primary attractions of attending events is swags. So let's hear more from Raul Rodriguez about how he's building this platform and where he is right now.
One moment.
Yep.
Raul? 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 I'm here. Oh, great.
It's like some swag hunting. Sure, it's coming.
Deepthi, I blame the ghost of the Tower Theater. We'll come to discuss it a little bit more later. Here he comes.
Cool.
Hello, I'm Raul. I'm the CEO of Bluebird CX, and we're an automated gifting company for enterprise. So let me explain a little bit of the problems that we're trying to solve. So first, from the corporate side, so we think that gifting is sometimes unnecessarily complicated. So we probably all worked at companies where the admin is trying to source gifts from all over the place, then they're buying all this like packing stuff and doing it in the lobby of the office or doing it at their homes. We want to offer an end-to-end service so that they don't have to worry about any of that. Plus, we also think that gifting is really underused right now. If you send a very nice curated gift box to your customers, to your employees, I think it can tell a very nice story, a story that you want to tell from your company. And as we know, storytelling is very powerful. And the second set of problems that we're trying to solve are around the industry right now, in the traditional corporate gifting industry. So let me explain a little bit how it works. So we have the factories, and they can be overseas, right, like in China or Mexico. Then we have suppliers in the US who have those contacts with the factories. Then the distributors, who are going to be a key part of our strategy, they buy swag from the suppliers, and then they sell it to the companies. But it's a huge market with antiquated technology. So corporate gifting is a $240 billion market. There's some very small distributors, but there's also huge ones like Halo. Halo makes $1 billion a year in swag. And yet, like, there's been some tech-enabled competitors like Sendoso, Radious, Postal. They sell around $194 million a year. That's 0.08% of the whole industry. And Sendoso's worth $500 million. But they have a sort of Uber-type approach, which they want to take over the whole industry and destroy that. Take over. We see ourselves more of a Microsoft for the industry, and we want to sell software to all that blue area over there. So let me explain a little bit more about that and what exactly do we do. So we offer an end-to-end solution, right? So first, our customers come in with gift ideas saying, I want to do gift cards for people who will show up for demos, which is really important right now in a recession, right? Sales software always keeps selling. Or new hire packages gift box, or anniversary for customers, right, before they renew their contract. So they'll work with one of our swag concierges to design that. And that's a very important step because we want to make sure that the company's telling the story that they want to tell for that situation. So they'll work with their brand and have creative ideas and all of that. And then they'll pre-purchase all those gifts. The gifts will then be sent to one of the fulfillment centers in our network. And then the trigger event will happen, whether the employee starts or the person shows up for the demo. And then there's a couple of ways in which the event can happen. One is through our web platform. There's multiple ways of sending. So there's a single send, there's a bulk send, there's a one link send, which is for events, or they can use our automated backend. So we can connect with a company's CRM, marketing tools, HR tools, so they really don't do anything. Again, what we're really trying to do is take away all the work from sending. Then the recipient will receive an email when they can confirm their address, and then sometimes there'll be the option to pick between gifts, whether it's a completely different gift or it can be t-shirt sizes, right? But again, what story are you trying to tell? For example, we send a lot of like fun and quirky gifts. Some of you have received them already, so you've seen them, but that's a story that we want to tell. We're a fun, innovative company, right? We do our retro video game t-shirts, we do all this fun stuff. That's a message that we want to send. Then all that information sent back to our fulfillment center where they're going to pack and ship it, and then the customer receives their gift. So our secret sauce, our differentiator between the rest of the other tech companies, is that we want to work within the current ecosystem. We think it's obviously a technology play. We're a SaaS company, but it's also a huge land grab. And we sell directly to the companies, but we also partner with current distributors, with swag sellers, because they don't have a technology offering for their customers. They're really good salespeople, they're really good at selling swag, but they can't sell an end-to-end service. They don't have that. So we go to them and say, hey, how about we sell to your customers the software, the service, everything. We keep our money, and you keep your swag money. And together, we have a better offering than the other tech companies. That's where we're going to beat them. And obviously, they're very happy, plus they're going to be selling more, because then for example, they're selling to marketing, and then sales is going to look at what they're doing, and they're going to want it as well. So distributors that work with us keep selling and selling more swag to their customers. Right now, we have 24 customers, and we have a lot of pretty cool logos in there, some public companies like Keysight, some medium-sized companies, but we have a working product right now that's been on the market for a few months. And here's our traction. So most important thing, right? Like, we've actually been profitable this calendar year. We've accumulated $332K in subscription ARR, and also we've have on average around $680,000 in profit from swag, which is what helping us to be profitable. Initially, we're starting to sell swag ourselves so that we can support our company. We're enterprise people, we're very scrappy, so we're trying to do everything we can to create a profitable business. But more importantly, we've done all of this with only $232,000 investment up until a month ago. So we're really, really scrappy. We know what we're doing. We know how to run a business. We know how to run product teams. So this is the founding team. So myself as the CEO, 17 years of B2B product and engineering experience. I've worked in big companies and small. And like fun fact about me, growing up in Mexico, my biggest dream was to like work at a big company like Microsoft or Google. And then I did that, and it was pretty cool. But like I never thought I'd be on a stage like this in front of you guys. So this is awesome. And then we have Brett, who's our VP of sales. 10 plus years of enterprise sales, really good at expanding an account. And then we have Chris, who is our industry expert, has worked in the swag industry for 38 years. So we have a really good founding team, and like one of our advisors tell us, we'll have gray hair, right? Which is a good thing. We have 18 people in the team, including founders. And you might ask, like, how do you do that? Well, again, we're very efficient. Sales team is in the US, but we have our engineering team in Europe and our operations team in Mexico. And with that, we're able to run things a lot more efficiently. We're part of Mucker Lab, which is an incubator in LA. And we're also SOC 2 compliant, which allows us to sell a lot of more companies. And if any of you have gone through a SOC 2, you know that it's difficult to get, especially at a company in our stage. So that speaks of how we can run things. So right now we have product market fit. We are absolutely ready to explode. We are looking to increase our sales team and tweak our go-to-market strategy. But I'm feeling very confident that in the next 6 months, we can increase our revenues 2x. And hopefully, you can join us in this journey, because very soon we're going to be dominating the industry. So thank you very much.
Really nice pitch, Raul. This is so exciting and really quite impressive. And I'm just wondering how you came up with this idea.
Chris has been in the industry for so many years, and he noticed that it's, again, incredibly outdated. A lot of the swag people barely use email. Halo, the biggest company, they're having trouble with their billing system. And so they can't create all this. So he's seeing the conflict, because at the same time, the tech companies cannot take a lot of business away from the traditional swag companies, because they're very good salespeople. So there had to be something in between, and that's how we came up with this.
It's so impressive. So what's your customer acquisition cost and length of sales cycle?
So it's varied a lot in the last year because the whole economy has changed. We actually had to stop. We were selling so much up until April or May that we had to stop. Up until then, our CAC was around a little bit less than $1,000, and our sales cycle was only a month or two. That has increased lately. We don't have the latest CAC numbers because it's still in flux. And the sales cycle has also taken a little bit longer. A lot of companies have pushed their marketing budget to the beginning of 2023. So we're building our pipeline right now to sell a lot in 2023.
Okay, great. So what is the most requested gift?
T-shirts and Yeti mugs. And Yeti mugs drives us a little bit crazy because they're very hard to work with. There's not a lot of margins, and it always takes forever. But we always try to, again, provide something creative. Like one of the ones that we send that some of you have received is like a chicken nugget dip tray for the car.
Oh.
It doesn't like, we tried to sell it to a trucking company. Surprisingly, they didn't want to buy it. We're like, really? But we just think it's funny. And like it's everybody I send it to, like had a conversation with their family or with their friends. I was like, I've never received this. It's like, thank you. That's kind of what we were going for.
Oh, that's so fun. And maybe slightly dangerous. Okay, how will you scale your team if and when you blow up, when you get to your domination phase?
Yeah, so we've been preparing for that. So our operations team has all the right pieces. We have sourcing. We have people sourcing in all these different places, like Europe, Mexico, US. So we have a defined plan on how we're going to increase every team. And right now they can take a lot more capacity. We've been preparing for more capacity before, and that's the other reason why we're looking for more investment right now, so that we can prepare a little bit ahead of time. Part of the difficulty about bootstrapping is it's hard to stay 3 steps ahead. Right now, I don't want to go and sell a lot of my company, but I want to find a middle ground where we have enough resources to prepare that ahead of time and then keep just growing and growing and growing. And our SaaS product, it's actually one of the highest quality products I've ever built or worked at. So I don't think that's going to have an issue in scaling.
Cool, that is very cool. Okay, what traction do you have in regards to distribution partnerships?
We have about 6 distributors right now that have given us customers, and we're looking to add a lot more. There's a lot of them in conversations, so we're getting a lot of demos right now. We restarted those efforts again 2 or 3 months ago. And then in January, it's the biggest distributor conference that happens in Vegas, so we're going a little bit more aggressive in there. So we're going to have like a bigger booth, bringing a lot of high quality booths because it's Vegas and they love to party, all these distributors. So like just try to get a lot of these conversations going. I've been part of a lot of nonprofits in the industry to make connections. So it's getting a lot of traction. There definitely is a longer sales cycle to onboard a distributor versus an enterprise customer.
Yeah, that makes sense. Okay, so this question is interesting. We've become accustomed to Prime 2-day shipping. What is the average turnaround for someone to receive their gifts?
That's a great question. So because most of the gifts are pre-purchased, we ship everything within 48 hours. That's one of the biggest advantages that we have over our competitors. Our competitors sometimes are taking 2 to 3 months to send things. So we have a super high bar with quality. So 48 hours to ship, and then depending on what the sender chooses for shipping options.
Okay, great. What is your average customer retention?
Right now, we're at 84%.
Oh, wow, that's very impressive.
Yeah, service is super, super important to us. It's especially nowadays, it's becoming more costly to acquire customers, so we're not going to lose them.
You're very smart. You're very wise, and I think that will make you stand out. Well, it's a beautiful pitch. I'm wishing you the best. This is awesome.
Thank you.
Thanks, Raul.
Thank you, everybody.
Thanks, Raul. All right, moving on to our second finalist. Our second finalist is what VCs call as, this is a finalist who will pass what VCs call the toothpaste test. Trust me, there are lots of jargons, and I'm unlearning my consulting jargons and learning the VC jargons. So literally, this, a short story before I invite Rachel to begin her presentation. I have a daughter who is in her preteens, and one of the many things that I do not agree with her or cannot agree with her is buying the right toothpaste. So she doesn't want to buy a toothpaste which has Elmo or Barbie on it, and at the same time doesn't want to buy an adult toothpaste because the flavor is too strong. So Rachel is building here a company that exactly addresses that market opportunity for bringing in personal hygiene products targeted at teenagers and preteens. And these products are sustainable, clean, and gender inclusive. And I'll let Rachel talk more about her company and product to all of us.
Thank you, Deepta. I am so excited to be here with you guys today. Let's rewind just a second. Before I was the CEO of CleanAge, I actually was a consultant for P&G, Unilever, and Cal brands. And during that time, I launched over 150 consumer products into the market. About 95% of you have something I named or worked on in your house right now. I also have 4 kids, and one of them is a teenager, the rest are preteens. And so I know this problem really well, both personally and professionally. There isn't a go-to brand for teen personal care. And that's unfortunate, because about the time that you have a teen or a preteen in a household, lots of things start to change, including buying habits. So when that family goes to the store and looks for something to buy, they end up compromising on efficacy, on formula, on sustainability. There's all kinds of things. They end up at home with a product they don't really love, and then moms have to turn into nags. I'm sure it's never happened to you. Teens are really caught in this gap between the baby products of their past and the adult products of their parents. Insert eye roll from all the preteens on that. And they don't want to have the cartoon characters and the bubblegum flavors. And they also don't really want to smell like a manly man as an adult. Why doesn't this product set work for Gen Z? Well, it's because this is a generation that absolutely shops by some guiding principles. Everything is personal to Gen Z. And when it comes to picking their products on the shelf, they want ethical brands that are environmentally friendly and that are ultra inclusive. People who reflect their values is what they're going to buy. So we created CleanAge. It's really pretty. Everybody has this like awe effect when you see it on shelf. It kind of stops teens in their tracks. And what we are trying to do is help teens grow into confident adults with inclusive, natural, sustainable products. All of our products are developed by 4 specific standards. First, they are all gender inclusive. So no matter how you identify, every CleanAge product is made for you. They're cruelty-free, they're placed in the most sustainable packaging solutions we can find, and they're made with better-for-you natural ingredients. And that's not all. The other part of developing CleanAge products looks at finding insights from both parents and teenagers. In fact, teenagers have always been a part of our product development process, which is both amazing and humbling. Nothing quite puts you in your track, it like stops you in your tracks like a 12-year-old telling you a scent that you're considering smells like puke. We didn't go with that one, thankfully. Here is our current product lineup. We started with a natural deodorant based on the insight that deodorant is typically one of the first products that symbolizes the transition out of these childish products. And it is both an emotional and a transitional moment in a family's life. We also developed a 6-hour hand sanitizer, which is about the length of a school day, so that both parents and kids can continue the habit that they started during the pandemic and be protected even when there are places where hand washing isn't convenient. And our latest product is toothpaste tabs. If you really want to see some parents lose their mind in a consumer product interview, just ask them about those toothpaste globs on the sink and the crumpled up toothpaste tube. And I don't know where any of those lids go. They're gone. CleanAge, because of this and because we really design with consumer insights in mind, and when we stack up next to the competition on shelf, it's a win every time. Our go-to-market strategy is a little different than most emerging brands in the last few years. This year, we had a national partnership with Unify that we established. We were brought on by Kroger, and locally, you can find us in 120 Fred Meyer stores. In 2023, I can't tell you everywhere we will be quite yet, but I can tell you we will be on shelf with both Walmart and Rite Aid. And so because our go-to-market was always retail first, it was that way for really two reasons. One, we could see that DTC growth was going to be affected by the iOS changes. And two, when we started talking to retailers, they were actually trying to solve a problem that they could see coming from a long way away, which was that they knew they had needed to stop dividing personal care products by men's and women's, but they didn't have many bridge brands to get them there. We were happy to solve that problem for them. So our projected retail wholesale growth just over the next few years looks like this, but that's not all. We're opening other growth channels as the years pass. So next up is a focus on our DTC business, as well as expanding to marketplaces. In 2024, we're looking at upping the amount of referral traffic to our site and then expanding to international business. As well, we are going to continue to develop new products, not only in body and skincare, but also some more self-expressive products like hair care and nail polish, all gender neutral. We're raising a seed series round right now of 1.6 million, which gets us to a couple of really great milestones, 7 new wholesale accounts, growing our team from 2 full-time employees to 9 full-time employees, and increasing our profit margin on production. And that looks a little bit like this. Right now, we are, our wholesale rate is $6.30, which is at about a 37% profit margin, but post-investment, we'll be making orders in quantities of 50 and 100,000, which increases that profit margin. This is my favorite slide because these are my favorite people in the world. Verify Venture Studio both incubated, invested, and co-founded CleanAge alongside me. I've never been alone in this process. And we have a couple of full-time employees right now. Verify will continue to support CleanAge as we hire on our full-time team. And I will say that I think one of the most incredible things about this slide is world-class experience, for sure, but Jen and Tom talked a little bit in the opening session yesterday about character, and this team is absolutely stacked with character and incredible experience. We're also backed by some amazing advisors who have seen exits, retail growth, storytelling, brand building, you name it, they've been around. And so that is just the start of CleanAge. We're about a year old and growing really fast. Happy to be here with all of you.
Well done. This is so exciting. So my first question is, can people who are not teens or preteens use it?
Yes, this is a great question. Actually, most second-time purchasers come back really quickly because parents are buying it for themselves.
It is lovely.
And we won't stop you from doing that.
Okay. I'm like, I need some of that on the shelf.
It's at the Bend Fred Meyer. Go on now, everyone.
Okay. Why not start off with an acne cream? That's an interesting question. Coming soon.
Yes, it's in their product development pipeline. Deodorant was an interesting on-ramp to us for this space just because of the way consumer products work and the way you pitch to retail, actually, and the way divisions are set. Our easiest and most clean on-ramp to creating this space was through deodorant.
And it's a challenging product to find that works, that doesn't cause sensitivity, that also has a sustainable packaging. So I think you've really created something special here. Mm-hmm. Where is your product manufacturing site?
It's in New Jersey, where almost every personal care product is made that goes to mass scale. Little known fact there. We are looking at a few other manufacturing sites that will be distributed through the US to help with transportation and logistics, though.
Okay. Who's the most important to market to, the parents of the teens or the teens themselves? That's a fun question.
Yes. We have to market by channel, really. And so you want teens to be pushing their parents to try out this, to purchase the product, and you want parents to feel good about that purchase. So it needs to go both ways. And also, one of our marketing channels is actually to our industry, because you want the industry to think, oh, they're thinking about the future, and they want CleanAge in their stores because of that.
Yeah, that makes good sense. How does your price point compare, and how do you think your sales would trend in a recessionary environment?
Yeah, oh, great question. Our price point is $1 or $2 less than the top 2 SKUs in our category. So that's just about where you want to be to kind of lure consumers into trying your product for the first time. And I actually think our products are all going to do great during the recession. There is an economic principle called the lipstick effect, which says that during a recession, people will actually spend more on personal care to have some of those kind of indulgent moments at home.
Absolutely. Yeah, I have 7 lip glosses in my purse.
That's right.
Okay, do you have
Comfort
any
lip gloss.
comfort lip gloss? Do you have any plans to donate a percentage of profits to a social environmental cause?
Social, for sure. Right now, we give product to Project 48 in Portland, who supports kids who are teenagers in the foster care system. And we are looking at other mental health partnerships to help teenagers.
That's beautiful. And I think what you're doing with your packaging is quite significant. So do you plan to do DTC subscription model? Ooh.
For sure. That's on the roadmap.
Yeah, I love that. Just shows up.
Yeah. Do you want to subscribe?
You guys into it? For 3 weeks, 4 weeks? The sweaty people need it a little more often.
Yeah.
Why wouldn't P&G or Unilever just do this? Question of the frickin' decade.
I think this is going to be the title of my book one day, because I ask this all the time as a consultant. Why won't you just do this? It's a complex question. There's multiple parts to the answer. One, their innovation centers are built around not innovating in their key categories. And so they're not going to innovate in deo or oral care because those are their key categories. Their innovation center is set up to innovate outside of those. They also are set up to only launch brands and businesses that will reach $1 billion in 3 years, which is a hefty goal. Anybody who's ex-Nike probably has felt that burn too in innovation. And then, there's that. There's a bunch of questions.
Dinosaurs.
Sure. Yeah.
Okay, are containers made from recyclable materials? And feel free to answer, if you have additional things to add to that.
Yes, for sure they are. You probably saw the little FSC certified paper, so responsibly sourced paper. There is a ring of plastic in our deodorant that is post-consumer plastic. And so we do as much as we can to innovate on that side. And we actually have some really, really interesting innovation coming down the pipeline that is super sustainable. And I'm excited about that.
Well, I'm excited about it too, Rachel. This was just a wonderful pitch. Really, really, I'm heading to Fred Meyer.
Awesome.
And I'll tell you, the Fred Meyer south of town's a whole scene. So, who knows what else I might find there. Thank you and well done.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, moving on. COVID has created innumerable problems, business problems, or in other words, innumerable business opportunities. Our next finalist here is solving one such problem that has become a common occurrence in the last 2 years because of COVID. And this problem is the food delivery issue, which has become a common occurrence. If you are a single home owner from a food delivery person perspective, it's pretty straightforward. They come deliver food at your doorstep. But think about it from a perspective of if you are a multifamily, if you live in a multifamily apartment or a condo or a corporate building. So from a food delivery person's perspective, it poses an additional problem for the building owner or the building property manager to manage that food delivery. Minnow Technologies, our next finalist here, is solving the problem of food delivery through a cloud-connected solution to make food delivery much more reliable and safe. Let's hear more from Steven Sperry and to learn more about what Minnow Technologies is doing.
Thank you. Okay, thank you very much. All right, my name is Steven Sperry. I'm the CEO and one of the two co-founders of Minnow. Minnow is a better way to manage food delivery. Our product is considered a food delivery management solution. If you haven't heard of a product category called that, that's because we've just created it. We are a category-defining company. In fact, some of the most successful startups in history are category-defining companies. Google, Instagram, Uber, great examples of companies that define entire new categories from scratch, which is what we're doing. So let me tell you why that's important. To say that food delivery is booming is an understatement. Food delivery is a global megatrend. By 2025, 185 million Americans will have either groceries or meals delivered to their homes. Does anyone want to guess how many meals were delivered in the US last year? Any guesses? Throw out a number. Billions, yes. 5 billion meals were delivered last year in the United States alone. Now you might say, well, that's a lot. That's most of the meals we eat. It's actually only about 2% of the meals we eat. So this market has a lot of room to grow. The problem that we're solving is that commercial buildings were not designed for this influx of food. This is a photograph of a dormitory at the University of Wisconsin-Madison. The food is literally dumped on the ground. Now, admittedly, office buildings and apartment buildings don't allow food to be dumped on the ground. What they do instead is they typically put a table in their lobby, and that's where the food is dumped. So it's not much better. So we've seen this movie before with packages. 10 or 15 years ago, when e-commerce really took off and we started to incorporate e-commerce into our daily lives, buildings were sort of flooded with packages, and their lobbies started to look like warehouses. And they solved that problem with a new category of products called smart package lockers. And these are some of the startups that emerged to solve these problems. All of these, by the way, have been very successful companies. So now, smart lockers, which have made package delivery efficient, convenient, and more manageable for these buildings, are now ubiquitous. You see them everywhere. The Amazon locker is probably the most famous example. Surprisingly, nothing like package lockers exists for food delivery. And there's a variety of reasons for that. Food delivery is much more challenging than package delivery. Typically, food is delivered throughout the day. It's on demand. It's delivered one order at a time. The typical food delivery worker is a gig worker whose maybe English is not their first language. They probably have never been to that building before. They may never go to that building again. Food is also time sensitive. Packages are basically everything the opposite of what I just said. So Minnow has built a solution that makes food delivery as efficient and convenient as package delivery. It's a really simple idea. It's hard to pull off, but the idea itself is very simple. You can think of our product like an Amazon locker for food. It has a hardware component, which we call the pickup pod, and it has a software component, which essentially monitors and tracks every single delivery that goes into that building. This is a screenshot of a dashboard for one of our customers. This is an apartment building in Dallas that we installed a pickup pod in about 2 months ago. And you can see if you look at the upper left corner, they've put almost 2,000 food deliveries through this pod in just 2 months. That's 1,000 deliveries a month, 12,000 a year. That seems like a lot, but we have customers that are doing 20,000 food deliveries a year through one pod. That's a ton of food going in these buildings, but it's nothing compared to the amount of food that's going to be coming into these buildings in 5 years. The market for our technology is enormous. Virtually anywhere that food is delivered, apartment buildings, office buildings, hospitals, universities, transportation hubs, and anywhere that food is picked up, restaurants, ghost kitchens, cafeterias, grocery stores, convenience stores. These are all places where you could have a system like ours. In fact, we do have our product already in a number of these different types of locations. We estimate the market at roughly 500,000 units inside the United States, which would be about $1.2 billion in annual recurring revenue. Since launching our product in January, we've generated incredible traction. You'll probably recognize many of the names on this list. This is a partial list of our customers. Another sign of traction, if I can just take a moment to show you this. On the drive down here, I stopped at our mailbox, and I got all these checks that were not in the mailbox last week. Now, I haven't opened them up. There's 10 here, but it's probably about $80,000. So this is what I call non-dilutive financing. It's the best kind. Our go-to-market strategy is land and expand. So we typically will sell one pod to a customer, like I'll take Westdale, for example. They'll put it in one of their buildings. A few months later, they'll come back to us and say, hey, this is fantastic. We want 3 more. We want 5 more. We want 10 more. We just recently sold our first deal where there was no land. It was just expand, and that was a company called Bell Partners. Bell Partners bought 16 pods right out of the gate. They manage about 275 high-end apartment communities around the country. So this is a heat map of our pod locations. We now have pods in most major US cities, I think 17 or 18 states. By the end of this year, we will have over 100 units in the field. We don't actually install these things. Our manufacturer just ships them directly to the customer. The customer takes it out of the box, stands it up, pushes it against the wall, plugs it in, turns it on, and it connects to the internet via a cellular network, and it's ready to use. So unlike most hardware startups, we carry 0 inventory, and we're cash flow positive on every sale. So the way that works is our customers pay us $350 a month. So this is the building, the apartment building, office building. They pay us $350 a month on a 3-year contract. That's about $13,500 total. There's a $1,000 onboarding fee. So if you do the math. And they pay us annually. So our first payment from the customer is $5,300, which more than covers our cost of the hardware, our sales cost, our lead generation cost, sales commissions, et cetera. So we're cash flow positive right out of the gate. And it's a recurring revenue model. We don't sell these devices. We own them. The customers just rent them from us. And you can see the results in our sales. Last quarter, we sold about $300,000 worth of product. This quarter, we'll probably sell close to $600,000. Next year, we're on track to sell 1,000 pods, which would represent about $12.3 million in sales. So this is a very rapid growth trajectory. Part of the reason for that is the way real estate works is once an amenity sort of becomes accepted within the industry, every building has to have one. The other factor that's working in our favor is the FDA is looking at regulating food delivery because there's been instances of foodborne illnesses because food is not under temperature control for a long enough period of time. And so we believe that's going to happen within the next few years, and when that does happen, a solution like ours is probably going to be mandatory for most commercial buildings. My background is in enterprise software. The first company I founded out of grad school was an enterprise software company. We built that into an industry leader. That company had a $2 billion exit. My co-founder has a background in hardware. He spent 8 years at IDEO. In fact, he was hired by David Kelly, the founder of IDEO. So we're kind of like the Reese's cup is chocolate and peanut butter. You put them together and they're better together. So we're kind of like that, software, hardware, together. Just really quickly, and I want to show you a quick video, we're building a network of food delivery hubs to power the transition to a new food economy. I mentioned 5 billion deliveries. That's only 2% of the total number of meals consumed by Americans. And we are preparing for a world in which the majority of our meals will be delivered. We're raising a $3 million pre-Series A round. We've raised a total of $6 million in the past. $2 million of the $3 million has already been taken by our current investors, one of which, by the way, is Lincoln Property Company, which is based in Portland. We do have $1 million available for new investors. And now I'd like to show you a quick video that shows you how our product works. Do we have sound?
As a property manager, you want...
Don't have sound. Let me see if I can go back to that. We had sound when we tested it. All right.
As a property manager, you want food delivery to be safe, convenient, and easy to manage. The Minnow Pickup Pod
so this is the DoorDash person. He's scanning the code. Door pops open. He puts the food in, closes the door, and leaves. This is the resident. She gets a message on her phone. She comes down 20 minutes later, an hour later, whatever, scans the QR code, picks up her food.
Minnow.
There's no app to download. It's frictionless. All right. Thank you.
Well done. Excellent pitch.
Yeah.
there's that QR code again. Are
Yes,
you
sir.
chocolate or are you peanut butter?
Peanut butter.
Okay, great. So, how did you come up with this idea?
It's funny. I was out walking my dog, and I thought, I'd love to get this breakfast sandwich from this great bakery, but it's a 20-minute drive, and it doesn't make sense to have DoorDash bring it to me because it would cost $12 to have an $8 sandwich delivered. So I started thinking about why food delivery is so expensive, and is there a better way to deliver food? And I realized that food delivery is very different from package delivery because food is delivered one order at a time. Packages, they load up the truck and then they bring everything out at once. In fact, the average DoorDash driver delivers about 25 orders a day. The average UPS driver delivers 125 orders per day. And that's why food delivery is so expensive. So if we can put in place the kind of infrastructure that would allow delivery companies to bring 10 or 20 meals to a building instead of one, we'd be able to reduce the cost of food delivery by an order of magnitude.
That would be awesome.
Yeah, would be.
Okay, most of today's restaurants see third-party delivery as a necessary evil. How will restaurants leaving mobile delivery platforms due to their excessive fees impact your business model, if at all?
So that's a great question. So our platform is an open platform. Anybody can deliver food to a Minnow pickup pod. So in many ways, we help restaurants because they can more easily deliver food to these buildings without relying on DoorDash and Uber Eats. There are third-party delivery networks that are emerging that work directly with restaurants, that help restaurants manage their own delivery fleets. So we're not dependent upon any one delivery company to make our system work. It's a highly fragmented market, which works to our advantage.
This is a question I had as well. Is the pod insulated to keep the food hot or
That's
cold?
the most common question I get. The pod is insulated, and it does keep the food at temperature longer. It is not temperature controlled. And the reason for that is the average dwell time, which is the time that the food is inside the cubby, is about 15 minutes. So we decided not to add temperature control because it's not justified. It adds a lot of cost and complexity to our pods. So one of the things I've learned about scaling hardware is that the simpler the hardware, the faster you can scale it. The only mechanical part to our pod is the lock mechanism. It's the same lock mechanism that's used in the Amazon locker. It's made in China. It has a failure rate of 1 failure for every 500,000 activations. So if you do the math, that's about once every 111 years. So these things, once we get them into a building, that's it. They should stay there for at least 10 years with no interaction from us. We don't have to service them. We don't have to clean them. We don't have to install them. It costs us about $20 a month to operate these devices because our cloud platform basically handles all of the data and communication messaging between the pod and the users. So once we get it into the building, it's like a money-generating machine.
Yeah, and it's just so much lower risk. Like the last thing you need is dried out tacos from your Minnow pod, right?
Or the last thing you need is to have one of your tenants get sick or potentially die from
and then it's your
exposed, and then you have the liability of that. Yes, exactly.
Yeah. Okay, as your product scales, how are you thinking about risk to your balance sheet, given you own all of the hardware?
So that's a really great question. So I cannot tell you how many companies have approached us asking if they can finance our hardware. We do not want to use equity capital for this, and we're not going to. There are plenty of financing either venture debt or equipment financing companies out there that would love to finance us. Next year, our goal, as I mentioned, is to sell 1,000 pods. Our unit cost is just shy of $4,000. That's $4 million of equipment financing opportunity for these types of companies. So that is one way we can scale even faster because we're not going to have to give that money to our manufacturing partner. We can use that money to invest back in sales and marketing.
That's great, very smart. Who cleans the cubbies? What happens when a locker has food with gluten or peanut products and the next user has allergies?
So keep in mind that when food is delivered, it's typically inside like a clamshell container, which is inside like a bag. So the cubbies don't get dirty very often. We recommend once a week for cleaning. And most of our customers follow that schedule. The pod is NSF certified for food safety. So that's one of our certifications. That means that it's designed specifically to deal with these kinds of issues. It has antimicrobial coatings. The cubbies are insulated. There's lighting on the inside because our research showed that people do not like the idea of reaching into a dark hole to get their food, right? They want to know that there's no cockroaches in there. So this is why you can't use a package locker for food delivery. It's a totally different animal. And we've had customers say, hey, can I use my Amazon locker for this? And Amazon has actually turned down those types of requests. They do not want their customers using the Amazon locker for food because the liability is just too great.
And so what are you doing about the liability? Is that...
Yeah, so one of the things our system does is it controls access to the food. So we have what's called a pickup window. If you don't pick up your food within that defined window, we prevent you from picking it up by locking or not letting you open the cubby. But before that happens, we'll send you reminders and notifications and whatnot, so you have plenty of opportunity. The reality is that some people order food and don't pick it up, and then it's in the pod. Now, in a typical situation where it's on a drop table, or as you saw in the photo, it's on the ground, nobody knows how long it's been sitting there, whether it's safe to eat. And so with our system, if that pickup window expires, we'll send a notification to the property manager and say, hey, there's an order in cubby 3 that's expired, it needs to be tossed out. That happens about 0.4% of the time, so for every 1,000 deliveries, about 4 of them are not picked up, which is a pretty small rate, but it's significant enough that if you don't control it, it could cause problems from a liability perspective.
Well, you're smart because, there's shrimp in cubby 3 and it's been there a couple
hours.
Or sushi
or what have you. Yes, that's
there.
right. That's right.
Hey, this is awesome. I'm excited for you. So
right.
Please keep us updated and best of luck today. Great
All right.
pitch.
Thank you.
For the last 10 years, I worked from home a lot, traveled a lot, worked from home a lot. And every time I got bored of working from home or looking at my only other coworker, my dog, the most common place I made as my workplace was a coffee place nearby. And looking at the hours that I spent in that coffee place, the coffee place owner often joked with me that he's going to start charging me by the hour and give me coffee and food for free. Now, fast forward that 10 years, that is no longer a joke. I think the workplace models have become so innovative now, or have to become more innovative now. And our next finalist here is one such solution. Radious is trying to innovate our workplace with some innovative solutions and innovative models. Welcome Amina to talk us more about what Radious is doing.
Hi everyone, I'm Amina, CEO and co-founder of Radious, which is a B2B marketplace for residential workspaces that are rented by the day. And we have made a lot of progress since I presented here last year in the early stage competition, and now I'm very happy to be back 1 year later here participating in growth stage. So thanks for being here with me. I'd like to start by sharing the problem that we are solving. Relatable one, clearly. Remote work is here to stay. Just in what capacity is the question. However, there are some significant problems in working from home. You've got distractions, people are feeling burnt out, it's a little lonely working in isolation, and yet if you ask people if they want to continue working remotely at least part of the time, almost everyone says yes, because they love the flexibility and convenience. And so companies are responding, and I think the headline that really spoke to me the most was when I read about Pinterest paying almost $90 million just to cancel a lease in favor of more flexible work. Now, why did they do that? Well, I think they asked themselves, why on earth would we pay for a 10-year lease 7 days a week when our employees only need office space once or twice a week? It doesn't make economic sense. And the fact is that employees just don't want to commute. It's expensive, and it takes a lot of time. The good news is that we solve both problems, because with us, you have no long contracts and you have no long commutes. That's because Radious offers close-to-home collaborative spaces that are rented by the day. So we're a marketplace that takes underutilized spaces, properties, we outfit them with workplace amenities, and then we offer them up for company offsites, team meetings, and collaborative work on an on-demand, as-needed basis. So let me take you inside of one of our spaces. This is a property in Northeast Portland, and check it out. Great table for 6 to 8 people to do a collaborative brainstorm or a strategy session. You can go to the back room over there where there is a smart TV and ample seating for a slide presentation. There's a full kitchen for a working lunch and a beautiful outdoor space for a coffee break or team building exercises. All for less than half the price of any of our competitors. So let's talk about pricing and pricing models. So first of all, If any of you have any meetings coming up in the Portland area next week, go to our website, browse listings, find a workspace that suits your needs, and book with a credit card. It is that simple. But once a company has done this 2 or 3 or 4 times, that's when we start talking to them about the benefits of a subscription. And that's where we make the big bucks. So here's how that works. Companies subscribe to Radious on a monthly basis. And so basically, they prepay for spaces on behalf of their employees. And then that gives their employees access to browse and book these great workspaces for free. It's like an employee benefit. And then homeowners and other property managers, they earn revenue through renting out great environments. And then we keep a 25% commission on each booking, and then some. And let me tell you, we have found a pricing sweet spot over the last year. So about 85% of our properties, our hosts, come from the Airbnb world. So they already have an expectation of how much their properties can make them overnight. But over the last year, we discovered that we can make our hosts more money per day than they can make on platforms like Airbnb overnight with less work and less risk. But where it gets even more exciting is that, like I said before, our spaces are less than half the price of our competitors. So where you would spend something like $1,000 for a sterile hotel conference room for the day, with us, you're paying half that for a bigger space that's totally unique with better amenities. It's just a no-brainer. And companies are raving about the solution. They love that we save them money and that our spaces are on demand. They're super cool, and they're right in their employees' neighborhoods, so they're super convenient. And they're booking our spaces for everything from weekly meetings to even just solo escapes for an individual employee that needs to escape distractions at home. And this is why we've been seeing such an increase in traction over the last year. First of all, we just expanded into our second market in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. And I'm happy to answer questions if anybody's wondering, why Wisconsin? But between the two cities, Milwaukee and Portland, we now have over 100 spaces to choose from. So we're distributed all across these regions, which means you can find a great workspace down the street from your house. We have about 40 corporate customers booking spaces. About 20 of them are already repeat customers, and we haven't really been at this for very long. And it's just going to show that this is a very sticky product. And we've already signed 2 companies on these monthly subscriptions, and we're working on our third right now with a Fortune 500 company, which has employees all over the country. And so, speaking of landing and expanding, they can become our first customer in every city that we expand into next. I probably don't have to tell you that the market opportunity for this is huge, and the timing couldn't be better, with practically every company on the planet talking about how to make remote and hybrid work sustainable for the long term. This is how you do it. Lastly, I'd like to introduce you to a few of my teammates, starting with a couple of advisors. Robin Daniels, former CMO of WeWork, is advising us on our communication and marketing strategy. Nick Bloom, economics professor from Stanford, his entire focus of his research is remote work. So he is feeding us with empirical data constantly on workplace trends, but also coaching us on how to set the trends and not just respond to them. We've got great people in our corner. And my 2 co-founders, oh my goodness, Brian and Alon, both software engineers, are responsible for the back end and the front end of the platform, respectively. And then myself, some of you already know me, having built 4 other companies before this one, 2 of them also marketplaces, which both went on to be acquired since. I bring the business expertise to scale this. My background in storytelling psychology has won one of my previous companies 5 Emmy Awards. And as an open-level tennis player, I've basically had grit burned into my DNA since I started competing when I was 7. But you know what excites me, I think, the most about all this is that we're not just another office solution or just another marketplace. We are changing the way the world goes about its workday. Because companies no longer need to be constrained by the inflexible office or employees stuck isolated in their homes. Imagine a world where companies have distributed workplaces wherever employees are. It's an entirely new model of work. It's a movement. And I'm thrilled to explore partnerships with folks who find this exciting too.
Thank you, Amina. Well done. It's wonderful to see you back on the stage.
Thanks for having me.
Oh, it's so good. What has been the most surprising thing about, like, between last year's BVC and this year's BVC?
A big surprise was when a manufacturing company became our first subscriber. We're like, manufacturing? We thought that was the last sector that would need a solution like this, because don't they need to be on site to make the thing? But it turns out that particular company, a third of their employees are office workers, and they can't hear themselves think at the facility. So anytime they need to do heads down work or a collaborative brainstorm, they need to go somewhere else, and they're using our spaces for
That's
it.
so exciting. So things you hadn't even thought of are coming up. Now, this is a fun question. Can hosts double dip, list on both Airbnb, Vacasa, and Radious?
Yes, they absolutely can, and that is what really lowers the barrier to entry for these hosts. First of all, if we partner with hosts who are already on these platforms, they already have the education and the infrastructure, like keyless entry and cleaning crews, so there's very little change management that needs to happen. But our sales pitch to hosts is do both, do all three. And the beauty of it is that we can help you supplement your slow season, your weekdays, and your winters, especially in geographies like this, because, let's face it, people don't travel to Portland nearly as much during rainy season. And Airbnb hosts, their income is significantly impacted by it. What are people doing when they're not vacationing? They're working, and we are a working platform.
That's right. That's really interesting. It's the same in Bend, right? We definitely have some slow seasons. So how does Radious compare with Pure Space or Liquid Space?
Yeah. Well, Liquid Space, as I understand it, they focus mostly on commercial space. And while we are doing some testing in commercial spaces, our focus is residential, because we want to be able to tell companies we have great workspaces right in your employees' neighborhoods. And that is so much easier to say with residential than commercial. We've got some other reasons beyond that, but I want to keep to time. And Pure Space, they do offer some residential options for things like meetings, but they also do baby showers and pop-up shops and like restaurant engagements. They're basically kind of the jack of all trades of space, whereas we are really, really focused on great work and meeting spaces.
Great. How are you navigating launching in places experiencing housing crises like Bend? Are you seeing impact to your expansion plans with tightening regulations on short-term rentals?
Yeah. This is an ethical question for me too, right? Because it's not just a business question, but I don't want to be taking away housing inventory. And one thing I'm really proud about with Radious is that we are helping families with housing affordability, because this is not an overnight platform. And so you don't need to be rich and have an investment property to rent it, or vacate your house for a week at a time while people stay there. No, people are staying there from 9 to 5. So we have plenty of families, actually, that will just leave for the day. Maybe they do have an office that they go to, or they're just doing something else for the day. And they can actually supplement their family income by renting out a space that they actually live in. That's not all of our properties, but it is a strong contingent of them.
I'm sure, yeah. It's a very interesting way to maximize your space. Who takes on the risk or liability if something happens on the location used?
Yep. And I was chatting with, yes, right there. Yes, Anne from Payne. We're talking to insurance companies about actually partnering and creating an entirely new insurance product for this, which could become an additional revenue stream for us. But in the meantime, we require all of our hosts to have the requisite insurance. Companies are booking. Typically, companies have their own general liability insurance as well. And then, of course, we have our own business insurance in the meantime.
Right, that's pretty standard practice, actually. You have to have that for any, and we had one, I'm sure, for the tower. I know we did. Okay, so what are you hoping is going to happen next?
Well, I mean, global domination, right?
Yes,
but,
yes, global
next is a
domination.
relative question. So, I would love to, I'm staying overnight. So if we're talking about immediate next, I would love to chat with people. Give me feedback on the concept. What do you love about it? What do you think could be improved? And if you'd like to join the platform, then let's grab a drink, grab dinner.
Okay. Awesome. Well, I can't wait to see where you go next. So it's Milwaukee and then everywhere. Isn't that the phrase?
With
Thanks,
your help.
Amina. Beautiful
Thank you.
pitch.
Thanks for having me.
The last and the final pitch for the day, this is Cassie Abel from Wild Rye. She's going to talk us about Wild Rye, which is creating a women's outdoor brand, which is creating apparel that not only fits, inspires confidence, but also is inviting more women to the outdoors. Cassie.
Hi, everyone. I'm Cassie. I'm the founder and CEO of Wild Rye. I'm also an avid outdoors woman, a former competitive athlete turned leisure athlete, and spent most of my career working for major outdoors. Shake it off with me. Spent most of my career working in the outdoor industry for major brands. During my time working for major brands, I saw just about every product that was yet to come to market across categories of outdoor sport. During that time, more and more brands were merging contemporary style and technical features for men, but nothing for women. Oh, I forgot the clicker. Can you tell I'm nervous? I'm ready for this. Okay. Wild Rye crafts beautiful and technical outdoor apparel for women that fits, inspires confidence, and welcomes more women identifying adventurers into the outdoors. Beyond apparel, the Wild Rye brand fuels connection, community, confidence, and most importantly, fun. So why did I wind down my lucrative consulting business to grow Wild Rye? Well, have you or any of the women in your life ever complained about feeling like a sausage encasing in your outdoor apparel? I know I have, as have my peers, and all these super spicy women on the internet. 6 years ago, when we launched, product truly was shrinked, pinked, and very ill-fitting for women. We launched Wild Rye to change that, both the apparel offerings and the narrative. Since our launch in 2016, Wild Rye has been laser-focused on what women actually want. Perfect fit and inclusive sizing, contemporary styling inspired by the runway, product that's durable as hell, and finally, we've been innovating with sustainable materials across our supply chain. In addition, we've been committed to changing the narrative, celebrating women however they choose to play outside, from the snack breaks to the podiums. We've built a fiercely loyal customer base that's growing fast. We're on a roll, but we need some growth capital. So, today we're focused on going deeper into the women's cycling category, the winter sports category, and building out our active lifestyle collection. But tomorrow, Wild Rye will be the outdoor brand of choice across categories of outdoor sport for women. The market for women's outdoor apparel is massive and growing. Women are trading in their high heels and their makeup to get outside. In a recent report, it noted that the quantity of women purchasing outdoor apparel is actually outpacing men coming out of the pandemic. And women spend 76% more on apparel per year than their male counterparts. So, as you see, Wild Rye fills an unmet gap in the marketplace. While there are a few brands that may be considered competitors in one category of sport or the other, Wild Rye is the only women's technical brand that covers multiple categories of sport that has a women's first lens. In the upper left quadrant, you'll see countless technical apparel brands, but they're all led by men, which means that the product offerings are still ill-fitting and simply don't appeal to women. Women deserve a women's first outdoor brand, and we're the brand to deliver that. So, I don't know about you, but the last couple of years have felt like a constant state of whiplash. We've done our very best to hold steady and stay laser-focused on our core consumer, the female outdoor customer. We've been building superior premium product. We've been focused on building our brand so it's right for earned media and organic social growth. We've been building out our wholesale strategy, and we've been building deeper customer connections to drive sales on the .com. Women love Wild Rye. I won't read all of these rave reviews, but the highlights include that women love the fit, the contemporary style, and many noted switching brands upon discovering Wild Rye. Our retailers have noted the same. So, much like Nike's humble beginnings, we've been biting off the industry one piece at a time. We've been really focused on building out our communities, getting product in the hands of influential individuals and groups. We've also been very focused on reconfirming our commitment to people and planet, as shown by these certifications. We've also been aligning ourselves with key partners that help us reinforce our brand values and reach more women, so like Ladies All Ride, Bend-based camp series, and Nexus, the all-women ski film project that's touring around the US right now. We've also been very strategic about building out brand collaborations with brands that are bigger than us, more established, to help us build credibility and reach new customers. Finally, earned media has been a huge driver for the Wild Rye brand. Up until this spring, we spent $0 on PR and have garnered well over 100 million in media impressions. So, since we've taken very little outside funding, wholesale has also been a really important marketing channel for us. We've segmented our wholesale partners into a few key buckets, each with a different value proposition. I'm going to highlight our REI partnership, which has been growing a lot. We are officially in every single REI door as of spring 22, and just recently we're named REI's Women's Technical Mountain Bike brand of choice going into spring 23, which just means more growth. As I mentioned, we haven't taken that much outside funding, so we've also invested very little into digital advertising until just about a year ago. We can attribute our year-over-year doubling of revenue to wholesale, earned media, and organic social. In addition, wholesale has allowed us to reach new customers, test new products and markets, and also, increase our factory orders, which has driven product costs down. Which leads us to our improving margins. Our margins have been improving steadily year over year, and we're excited that of our top 5 best-selling products, they span all 3 of our product categories. So, we are super excited about where we're headed. We've been growing up in very uncertain times, which gives us confidence that we can weather any storm ahead. We already have 1.5 million in purchase orders and commitments on the books for spring 2023, which only reconfirms that confidence. So we expect to grow at almost 100% compound annual growth rate through the next several years. This is my dream team. We're a mix of seasoned industry professionals and scrappy young up-and-comers who are committed to everything that we do. With a great breadth of experience, this team is the team that's ready to take us on our next phase of growth. If you layer that in with a few key advisors, a couple agency partners, and a few targeted hires yet to come, there's nowhere to go but up. This brings us to our ask. We're seeking values-aligned investors to help us pour fuel on the fire while maintaining our social and environmental good. This 1.8 million gets us to 16 million in revenue in 2025 to our Series A. We hope you'll join us in making the outdoors a more equitable place for women while having a hell of a lot of fun. Thank you, and play wild.
Beautiful. Beautiful pitch. I love the aesthetic of all your designs.
Thank you.
So what's your favorite product?
The Friel short. The Friel has been our flagship short since 2017, and it's just continued to be really amazing.
And this is the one that fits everybody.
Exactly.
Ugh, I like a short that fits everybody. Okay, how will you use the capital investment?
3 primary buckets. It'll go into marketing, systems and people, and product development. As I noted, we'd like to expand into a few new categories, so we'll be investing into researching exactly which categories those are, though I have some ideas.
I bet you do.
Yeah.
What is your direct-to-consumer customer acquisition cost? How does that compare to your average order value?
Yeah, absolutely. It's been fluctuating a little bit, but it's ranged from about $19 to about $26 for our CAC. And I believe our average order value is around $170.
Great. And have you looked into micro-influencers to expand brand recognition?
Yeah, we actually do a lot of that. I just didn't have enough time to tell you everything that we do. But we work with a platform that sort of engages our community. We also have an ambassador team that's so it ranges from professional athletes to real women who are just really involved in their communities to promote our brands. We think we have like 24 pro team members and somewhere close to 500 micro-influencers across the country.
And what, let's see here, do we have another question? Or okay, have you considered sponsoring women's college sporting uniforms?
You know, we're actually just building out a group sales and a corporate sales program right now. You know, there's not massive mountain bike teams at the collegiate level, though that is definitely growing. So at least on the more gravity side of the sport. But yeah, it's certainly on the list of things to consider along with lumped into our group sales. So.
Awesome. So how do you differentiate from Title IX other than biking?
Well, the founder of Title IX is actually an investor, so she believes there's differentiation, but they are really focused on sports bra, swim, more sort of like everyday outdoor apparel, and we are really focusing more on the technical pieces with some active lifestyle. So both in winter sports, merino categories, winter sports, biking, yeah. Hopefully that answers that question.
Okay, this is a fun question. How comfortable are your bike shorts when you are in the saddle? Like, for real?
Are we talking about the chamois shorts or the baggy shorts? Because I don't think any chamois shorts are comfortable out of the saddle, but our baggies, I mean, upon launching with Title IX and all of our retailers and even reviews on our own site note that women are wearing our shorts to play golf in, to go hiking in. An older demographic that likes to cover their knees or wearing them just around. So, yeah.
And so is mountain biking, is this your sport of choice now?
Mostly, yes. Mountain biking, skiing, you name it. I live like right at the base of a bunch of mountains. So anything that gets me outside and into the mountains.
Racquetball. Mountain racquetball, that's a new one.
I played pickleball for the first time the other day. I think I'm going to be a fan.
Oh, it's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's great. How have you developed personally as CEO of a growing company?
Yeah, I think one of my biggest strengths is knowing my weaknesses. I recently, as in like 8 months ago, hired a VP of People and Ops. If you get me into logistics, my brain hurts. I can see it from a bigger picture, but I'd rather someone else get into the minutia. And I also find that our VP of People and Ops is really amazing as a leader of the people. And so while I stand in that role to some degree, she's the one that's leading a lot of our team members on a daily basis. And I really appreciate that so I can focus on product and marketing and bigger picture strategy and partnerships.
And so when you were building your team, are these people that you've worked with before? Did you just get lucky? How did you find these people?
A little bit of both. We're tapping our local community for great talent, which is underutilized in the Wood River Valley. We're importing people who've worked for other major outdoor brands. We're bringing young people who are sort of new to the workforce up the ranks and molding them into exactly who we need them to be, and they've been awesome. So.
Great, I love to hear it. Well, I'm really excited about this. It's a beautiful pitch, and I'm definitely rooting for you. So thanks, Cassie. Well done.
Thank you.